Okay. Hello, AP government students. How are you doing? I hope everyone's doing okay. I just wanted to go over the assignment that's going to be due on Friday. It's going to be due Friday evening. For next week, I'm definitely going to get on a better schedule that's mirrors what we were used to, where you go. There's assignment Monday. It'll be due Tuesday night. There'll be a short Wednesday assignment, and then a Thursday assignment that's due Friday night. So here's what you got to do. So today you're going to be reviewing New York Times versus the United States. The New York Times is a really big newspaper. They're probably the most important and largest one in the country and maybe in the country's history. So just to frame this case happened in 1971. And just to highlight again, I know we went over this in class. I just want to give this as a frame for what's going on. In Iraq and Afghanistan, the total United States military casualties were 7,000. So 7,000 enlisted military United States people died. In Vietnam, that number was 57,000. So that's 8 or 9 times the size in terms of death. And then this is a really good graph to just show you what the number of United States military deaths were per year. Now, this isn't even showing you what Vietnamese civilian deaths were, which are really horrendous and is really a travesty. This is just focusing on the American perspective because this case happens to be about Americans. As you can see, starting in 68, that was the worst year with 16.6 thousand or 16,600 American men and women killed in Vietnam. And it definitely starts to go down after that. That was the worst year for civilian deaths. But, you're looking on the order of between 5 and 10 U.S. servicemen and women killed a day. So what you're going to do, what you're going to do is on the Google Classroom, shoot. Sorry, this computer's a little slow. You're going to go and you're going to watch this video, which is the New York Times versus US. It will be linked. Then once you watch that, hopefully that'll give you some good, solid background information. You're going to navigate over to this, right? This is our standard reading, right? You've seen these before, pretty common. As you can see, the case was decided really quickly, which is sometimes unusual. You're going to get your background, going to get your facts, and then this is the main issue. I would recommend reading this time, the constitutional amendments and Supreme Court precedents. And I would recommend reading those because why would I recommend reading those? Oh, they will actually come up in what you need to answer. So you scroll down and then you find, cool, our decision. And then you've got your concurrence and then you've got your dissents. So concurrence, that's just an opinion that basically means like they agree. This judge, Justice Black, agreed with everybody else. They agreed with everybody else in the majority, but they kind of had a different take on it. This will be rolled up in with what the actual majority opinion was. And then here's your dissents. These are people that did not like the way the case went. And then what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to this one. This is called the New York Times. Let me change this versus US Graphic Organizer. Okay, what you're going to do, same thing as we did a couple days ago. You're going to go file, make a copy, right? Name it whatever your name is. So, Dwayne copy or whatever. And you're going to make a copy of it. Okay, really simple. Case background. You're going to take the case background for New York Times versus US, and then you're going to also go back to Schenck. That's one that we've already done, and you're going to go back to Schenck, and then you're just going to review case background for New York Times. So for this assignment, you're comparing New York Times versus US and Schenck versus US. These cases are separated by about 50 years. Then you're going to write, okay, what was the law, amendment, or constitutional text in question? So like, what was it being challenged? Little hint, it has to do with the First Amendment. For the majority opinion, I want you to go back to both cases. So this one is going to be for Schenck. This one is going to be for New York Times. Then you're going to say what the reasoning was that the court used to justify their majority opinion. Their majority opinion. I really want to be clear about that. I'm looking for you to talk about the majority opinion. Cool. Then there's a second page, sort of three big questions. I'm looking for about 3 to 5 sentences on each of these. So here's number 1, 2, and 3. I'll go over 1 real quick because it's a little tough. Which conflict of democratic values and social values exist in the assigned cases? So what do I mean by that? So democratic value are the beliefs and principles in American society. So these are things like that we should have elections, that you should be allowed to say what you want. And then I want you to say, what's social values? Like these are moral principles. So these are things like our culture. So is it part of our culture to allow the press to say what it wants? Is it part of our culture to have the media be able to say whatever they want? This one's a little tricky, but basically you're talking about like, okay, what are the underlying ideas and underlying principles that Americans like believe in that show up in these 2 court cases? Make sure to talk about both. Number 2, how does the Supreme Court justify its protection or control of certain political behaviors? Support your response with evidence. So again, just when the court does say that they can limit, that the government can limit political behaviors and speech, like how do they do that? What is, how do they justify that? What is the language that they use? And then lastly, this is more of a personal one. Evaluate the Supreme Court's ruling and its reasoning in each case. Support your response with evidence from each case. So here, you're just giving your opinion about the New York Times and the Schenck cases, and you're just sort of saying, is what the court ruled okay? Is what the plaintiffs did okay? Is what Schenck did okay? Should they have been as harsh with him? Is what the New York Times did okay? Should they have been as harsh with them? Or were they not as harsh? That's going to be up for you to decide. So I hope this is a good overview of what you need to be doing. Please knock all this out for Friday. And then, yeah, well, let's have it be due Friday at, I guess we should say 5 p.m. Okay, well, I hope everyone's doing well. If you have any more questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. And I look forward to reading your work. Stay well.